Welcome back, everyone. Now, Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney represents New York's Hudson Valley in Congress, and he joins us to give us the inside scoop on what's going on or not going on in Washington. And Congressman, we were just talking about the late Senator Lautenberg, and one of the things that he remarked in the last few years was just how much Washington had changed and how ugly the partisanship had gotten and how unproductive it is. Now, this isn't your first rodeo in Washington. You worked there in the Clinton administration, but as a congressman, is it even worse than you expected when you got there?
No, it's not worse, but it's than I expected. But it's bad enough.
Your expectations were low.
It's bad enough, and I think that we're seeing some progress. You know, a bunch of us are committed to working across the aisle. I joined the No Labels group. We've got the biggest chapter right here in Westchester County, believe it or not, and there's 80 members of Congress now who belong to No Labels like I do, and it's a good tribute to someone like Senator Lautenberg, because the idea is we're just there to fix problems. We're not there to fight. We're going to focus first on what we can do to get results, and my guess is we'll be tired at the end of the day because there's so much work to do and we won't have time to fight. So, you know, Senator Lautenberg had an extraordinary career, and we should remember he was the last World War II veteran serving in the United States Senate. That's something very special that we're going to miss. And he also grew up poor from in an immigrant family and really lived the American dream, had a very successful career in business before a very distinguished career in the Senate. So he'll be missed, and it's a good example for the rest of us to stop fighting and start working.
Well, the polls certainly suggest that people would like to see more of what you're talking about, which is Congress actually doing something. But the ability to, pardon the expression, walk and chew gum, where you can both investigate and legislate, has certainly come into question. This weekend, Darrell Issa, who, as everybody knows, is becoming the face here of some of the investigative inquiries right now with some of the, let's call them, scandals in Washington. Take a listen to what he had to say, and I want to get your reaction as to what Washington wants to do, let alone can do going forward.
And the administration is still their paid liar, their spokesperson, picture behind. He's still making up things about what happens and calling this local rogue. There's no indication. The reason that Lois Lerner tried to take the fifth is not because there's a rogue in Cincinnati. It's because this is a problem that was coordinated in all likelihood right out of Washington headquarters, and we're getting to proving it.
Okay, that obviously the congressman who was on CNN this past weekend. Let me get your take on it. First of all, the CIA story, the AP story, do you qualify them as scandals? He made it clear that they're not going to let this thing lie here, and they're saying that it goes, he was talking about Jay Carney, the press secretary, they go right all the way up to the top, they go right to the administration. It wasn't some agency snafu. This thing was coordinated from above.
Well, that's a very serious allegation that has not been proven. Now, this situation with the IRS is bad enough. You know, there should be zero tolerance for any kind of politics involved with the IRS. I think it's outrageous that they targeted anybody because of their politics, and we should get to the bottom of it. Unfortunately, I don't think Chairman Issa helps that cause when he engages in some of those reckless statements and name-calling. This is a serious situation, and it should be looked at by serious people. There is, however, no proof that it goes anywhere beyond that regional office, or certainly not to the White House. But look, if it does, we should find out.
Do you get the sense that people, not just you, but there's enough people even on the other side of the aisle, they can investigate and legislate at the same time, or is this going to be all we're going to hear about for the next few months?
I think that if you look at the Farm Bill, which we just got done, a bunch of us, I'm on that committee, a bunch of us working across the aisle, this is an historic Farm Bill that is really good for the Hudson Valley, that will create jobs. It does away with these big payments to agribusiness out in the Midwest. It reforms the crop insurance program. That's my law. I wrote it. It's gonna get enacted this year. There's a lot of good bipartisan work going on in the Agriculture Committee, and we're going to get a Farm Bill. I think you'll see the same thing on immigration. We saw the same thing on the Violence Against Women Act, which we got
will
done.
Actually get through?
I do. I think it's critically important to the country. Now, we have to do it the right way, and we've got to secure the border, and we've got to verify the workforce, but we've got to get things done. And there
I'm
are
hearing enough Republicans saying if you get immigration done, even though I'd argue as a party they get even more out of it than Democrats, by the way, but be that as it may, They don't want to do anything that can be perceived as taking the heat off the administration or giving this president a political win by passing some landmark legislation like immigration reform. And as a result, like we've seen for the last 5 years, stuff will be grinded to a halt if they've got some red meat like these investigations we're talking about.
Well, look, we've been here before. I mean, as you know, I served in the Clinton administration. And in the second Clinton term, the Republicans became, some of them, obsessed with investigations. And what happened? The Democrats picked up seats in '98, and people like Newt Gingrich had to resign. So I think the politics of scandal are not at all clear. I think the politics of being productive, of getting stuff done, of getting results for people, would serve them a lot better. And I think that what I hear everywhere I go in the Hudson Valley is they want us to start working, stop fighting.
There's a trigger date coming not too long from now where student loans could double. This thing has been, they've seen this train coming down forever, and now we're coming right up against it. This has got to be the stupidest political downside for anyone to not support this, but yet it's got a real chance to lapse here. Why isn't that like Exhibit A, that it's the smart thing, it's the right thing, but still it's got a good chance of not getting done and people are going to get hurt in the process?
There's some good bipartisan work happening on that. I think we'll get a solution on that. What I do not want to see, and what I voted against last week, was what I call the sort of subprime students effect, where you get kids taking loans that are on these low introductory rates, and then they could go from paying 2.5% to paying 8.5%. And that's the difference between being able to pay it back and being in default. So we can't trick kids into getting too much student loan debt. They have too much already because college costs too darn much. And so I want to focus on why tuition keeps going up, and I want to make sure we fix this student loan problem in the short term.
How about sequestration? I know for a lot of people say, oh, been there, done that, no big deal. Well, put a human face on it and use West Point, because if people, our military academies, you would think would be one place that you wouldn't see partisan infighting, especially given where we are in this world right now. But yet, the cadets and the institution's actually really hurting right now as a consequence.
Right. Well, I was at this table a few months ago saying this, and we heard a lot of people saying, no, sequester doesn't matter. Now, I wrote to the Secretary of Defense, and I've been working with the White House, and we have been successful in mitigating some of the impact on West Point. We thought it was going to be 2,000 furloughs for 22 days. It's now under 1,000 furloughs for 11 days. But that's bad enough, and that's between now and September 30th. And the same thing's going on at the Air National Guard Wing in Stewart. These are real families serving their country. A lot of them have been active duty before they go civilian. So this is a real impact, and it affects the kids who are going to be making, in some cases, huge sacrifices for us as a country. It's a great example of why the sequester is the dumb idea from the last Congress. We can balance the budget a better way.
Congressman, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time out today. All right, everyone, we'll take a quick break. Our panel will return right after this, so please stay with us.